This is the 217 Recovery Podcast with Corey Winfield.
Corey Winfield. You have a rich person's name. Like, you should be a billionaire with the name Winfield. Anyway, call me back, bro.
1st of November, 2020. This is the 217 Recovery Podcast. My name is Corey Winfield. I'm your host. Appreciate you listening. Listen on the app. We have an app. We've had an app, I guess, but it's available in the Play Store for Google, for Android, and in the Apple iTunes Store. So if you've got an iPhone, go look for it. It's a free app, and we post blogs on there. And it's a little easier to get to than, open up a browser, go into our website from your phone. You just click the app. Podcasts are there as well. Resources, stuff like that. A little bit different. Our website, though, well, I guess the app does have the banner at the top, but the website, if you go there, 217recovery.com, we are on the Amazon Smile program, which is like they donate a certain percent of what you spend to charity. So just by shopping for the holidays, can help us out, and we can help people in treatment and treatment centers. We're trying to deliver a lot of items that they need, and we'll go around Michigan and drop that stuff off at different facilities. So, if you want to look at our list that we have, list of items, 217recovery.com, scroll down a little bit, you'll see it on the kind of the right-hand side, sort of it's blue, like a darker blue, and it'll say list, and it'll have items like socks, watches, stuff like that. People need that kind of stuff in treatment centers, so appreciate that. Fantasy football is horrible today. Thanks, Adam. The 217 Recovery Fantasy Football League. It's the Fantasy Sober League, and it just didn't work out for me, which actually I can look at it like, oh, man, that sucks. I got beat. Ugh. And the old me, 2 years ago would have drank. I'd have been like, man, this sucks. But I look at it in a different light today. I look at it like, okay, I didn't have to watch football all day today. I didn't have to follow anything. Just do whatever I want. I wasn't trapped. And I went to lunch with a guy who was actually in the league and was telling him about that, like back in the drinking days, because he was like, this is the first football season that I haven't drank. This is what he said. And I was like, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? And, I was kind of explaining how I felt trapped. I would start drinking really early in the morning. And, by the first game, by halftime, I was already passed out. And then I wake up a little bit, and it just was horrible. And then I end it with like The Walking Dead, and I'd felt like the dead, the whole drinking from the whole weekend. It kind of caught up to me by Sunday night, and it was just, it was bad news. And, when I started drinking so early, and then I would make the excuse of, well, we're watching football today. I'm watching football, so that's what I have to do. And that kept me just stuck in the house, stuck on the couch. Very, very, very unproductive days. And I don't feel trapped anymore. Now that I'm not drinking all day, it's amazing. It really is. And if you're in recovery, you know what I'm talking about. And if someone told you, hey, listen to this podcast, these guys are in recovery and they talk about their lives and they're not ashamed that they're in recovery. And, that's cool, and maybe you're thinking about making some changes. I definitely recommend it. Life is so much better without drugs, without alcohol. Alcohol is a drug, but yeah. It's just so much better, to live life with a clear brain. It was so hard for me at first to imagine a life without drinking. And just the thought of, wait, I can never drink again? No, that doesn't make sense. Like, I can drink again. I'm different. I'm not like other people. That's for other people. I can probably drink in 5 years. Once you get that out of your mind and, change your mindset, our minds are so powerful. Our brains are powerful. And what we feed into it and what we put into it makes a huge difference. So if you can overcome that fear of, oh, I can never use drugs again, you're going to be okay. But it's tough. We don't want to admit that, no, we are just like the other people. There's a reason. For AA meetings, there's a reason that people go to those. There's a reason for it, because it helps them. So just keep that in mind. A friend of mine had a question, and he wanted me to kind of talk about this tonight on the podcast. And when you go home for the holidays, or you just go home in general, I guess, and if you're around the people that you used to use with or used to hang out with and party with, how do you do that? The first time you go back home, and you had a little bit of clean time under your belt, and this guy's got like 9-10 months. But when he goes home for Thanksgiving, he's going to go home for Christmas. And my advice to him and to anybody else kind of in this situation is be selfish. You don't owe those people anything. And if you're going home for the holidays, you probably have a reason, right? You're going to see your grandmother. You're going to see your kids. You're going to see, your mom, your dad. Make that your priority and make a list of things you're going to do with them. You're going to go shopping with dad on Sunday, going to, Black Friday deals with mom, like whatever you're going to do, set that up ahead of time. And, your friends will be like, or at least people you thought were your friends, or maybe they are your friends, but you just can't be around them right now. They're going to understand. And if they don't, well, that's on them. I've had that happen time or two where I go home and I was there to, see my sister, see my nephews, or whatever the case may be. And then I was gone. And they were like, "Oh, you were in town. You didn't even come see me, man. Like, what's up, homie?" And no, I didn't come see them because that's not what I was there for. Now, if, I'm home and a friend catches wind of, "Hey, Corey, do you want to hang out?" We can do that too, but it's not going to be at a bar. And that's just how it has to be for me. I don't really associate bars. Well, I mean, I associate bars with drinking, but for me, I didn't really drink too much at bars. So, for me, going to a place like Buffalo Wild Wings or, Chili's or Applebee's, something like that, I don't associate that really with drinking because it was too expensive for me to try to drink out in public. Plus, I'm not going to have a beer. I'm going to get drunk. That's why I drank, to cover up a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings that I didn't want to feel. So, again, for me, it's a little bit different. Maybe, sure, some people can relate to what I'm talking about, but, if you're going home though, and, your buddy's like, "Hey, come on over, man." And, he's in active addiction still. And that's somewhere we used to go and used to hang out. And you think you maybe owe him something. You don't, and especially putting yourself in situations where you'd even be around somebody who would, "Oh man, I'm not going to press you, bro." It's just not a good idea. Some situations you can put yourself in and then think, "Oh my God, why did I do that?" Some situations you put yourself in and next thing you know, you are right back on it. And it is so hard to stop. It's so much easier. And this may sound crazy for some people, but it's easier to say no. It's easier to not take that first drink than it is to stop. I know for me, in my active addiction days, I would drink and I would start and then it was just slippery slope downhill and I didn't know how to stop. And then it became physical where, the shakes and the dry heaving and it was miserable unless I got some more. And it's just such a dangerous game. And, it feels good not to have to play that anymore and to be on this side of it. So if you're going home for the holidays, if you're going to be around family, it can be awkward. I remember one Christmas, my grandmother passed away, and I think it was my first Christmas home after that. And when my grandmother was around, I mean, we didn't drink at Christmas. Like nobody ever drank at Christmas. And after she passed away, all of a sudden there was drinking, and it was weird because I discovered this by looking for my stepfather. So I went down in the basement and I found the family members that were down there drinking, and they looked at me like, "Oh my gosh, oops." Like something, like I just walked in on them plotting a bank robbery or something. And it was just very awkward, and it made me feel like, oh, you guys plan this all around me to hide this from me. And I don't know if that's good or bad. Everybody's different. For me, it felt like, oh, so they go out of their way because of me. Like I'm a bad person, and now I'm feeling guilty for putting them out to make them go hide in the basement to drink their beer. I don't know. Maybe there are people that are like, "Yeah, don't get that around me. Do hide it." I try to put myself in, my brother's shoes. It's his house, and if he wants to drink, he's a grown man. He can drink. He doesn't have the problems that I do. He can have a beer. He can have 2 beers and be fine. Personally, I can't. I don't see a point in having 1 or 2 beers. I think that's just a waste. Why would you even do that? But I try to put myself in his shoes and be like, okay, I'm him, and my older brother's coming over, and he's in recovery. Why can't I have beers at my own house? Why should I have to tiptoe around him? I shouldn't have to. It's my house, and I can drink beer if I want to. And it was just hard for me to understand it because, like I said, I don't look at drinking the same as he does. I look at it as like, okay, let's go get tanked and let's not feel this way anymore. And this is how I know how to do it. So I couldn't really put myself in his shoes. I would probably then, perfect world, I'd say, oh, well, if I was him, I would just say, well, it can wait. But again, it's not my brother's problem. It's mine. And for me, family members, when they try to hide it, or, different people try to hide it from me, like, oh, if he sees that cake, he's going to eat it all, Yeah, I will. But for me, it works better to not, try to hide it. Just do your thing. I never, drank at Christmas. I didn't ever drink over, at certain people's houses or whatever. So that has nothing associated with it to me. Now, if you're going to a place, like I said earlier, that, you've used with people, this is kind of what my friend was wanting to know, like, what do you do? Like I said, you got to be selfish about it. But if you are in a situation where you're, say you're, and I'm just making stuff up here, but if you're going to like Christmas, the Christmas get together with your family, and Aunt Rita's there, and Aunt Rita likes to drink, and you used to drink with Aunt Rita. This is something you guys did every Christmas. That would probably be a lot harder. And I would say mentally prepared before you go into the situation. Now, with that said, there's sometimes you will be caught off guard. You won't see it coming. There's no plan for it. It'll just catch you. And those are the very scary times. Those are very, very scary moments where I've prepared for Aunt Rita. I've done this and done that. And then you're in a situation where, boom, someone offers you something and you're like, oh my God, I didn't plan for that. I don't know. And you'll freeze up. That happened to me one time. I was working, and I was working at a place in Petoskey. It's this nice RV resort. And I was going around and make sure people were cool. And it was kind of hot. And the guy asked me, hey man, you want a drink? And I had no response for that. And I just froze. And I was like, I'm working, man. I can't drink on the job. And he pulls out a cooler and it pulls this water from this cooler and was like, I just meant like a water, man. I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll take a water, man. But like, it was just something I wasn't prepared for. And, thank God it wasn't alcohol, and that I was at least prepared with, well, I'm working, but yeah, getting caught off guard sucks. And who knows what it's going to be, but prepare yourself as much as you can going into the situation. Like, okay, if, Aunt Rita offers me, I'm going to say no. I know that's probably going to happen. Just say no, but what if, Uncle Dan comes up? It's like, hey man, let's do a shot, celebrate. Just don't go there. But if it's something, that you and the uncle had done, again, it's going to be a little different because you can probably prepare for it and just be very selfish with it too. Like I said, if you're going in there with the mindset that, okay, here's the plan for today, I think that'll make it'll make it a lot more easier for you. But watch the situations, people, places, things, and just be selfish. That's my advice for that kind of topic. And If anybody else has other advice too, feel free to reach out on Facebook and, we'll share that, or you can drop me an email.